All right, 5 reasons to file for Social Security at 62. That's what we're talking about today, Matt and me. We're going to go through this. Now, reason number 1, the first reason why you want to file for Social Security at 62 is because you need immediate income. Now, what do I mean by immediate income? What I mean is you retire at 62 and you want to have some sort of immediate income coming in right away. Let me show you what that looks like. So this is my whiteboard. So let's assume that you get at age 62, you get $2,000 a month in Social Security. Now, if you were to wait until age 67, you would get $2,857 in Social Security benefit. But we're talking about needing immediate income now. So why would you claim at 62 versus 67? Well, let's just do the math. Let me grab my spectacles, Matt, so I can see what's going on here. So let's say we have 5 years of income that we need from age 62 to 67, right? 63, 64, 65, 66, 67. So we need 5 years of income. We're going to get $2,000 a month in Social Security. Now, I am not going to assume any kind of COLAs or anything like that. So it's just $2,000 a month for 5 years. Okay, just to do easy math. So that's $24,000 a year, right? $2,000 a month. And we're going to multiply that by 5 years of income. Okay, how much is that? Let's just grab an easy calculator, even though I wrote down the answer, but I'm just going to check my math as always. That's $120,000. So we would get $120,000 in retirement income from Social Security claiming right away. Okay, so this is number 1 reason why you would want to claim Social Security at 62 is because you want or need the immediate income. We're trying to bridge the gap for immediate income. So again, claiming at 62, you get $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year for 5 years without COLA increases. That's $120,000 worth of income to bridge you between 62 and 67. Now, at 67, if you were to claim Social Security and you got $2,857 a month, you multiply that by 12, that's $34,284. Okay, so 34,284. I got to get a better writing tablet. This whole mouse thing's not working. I know everybody says get an iPad. I just don't want to spend like $2,000 on an iPad. I just feel like that's kind of, I'm like, what am I going to use that for outside of using a writing tablet?
So, I think you're doing better with your mouse than I would do, I can tell you.
Perfect. Now, so the thing that we also want to look at is if we do claim at 67, if we had waited until age 67, how long would it take for us to make up what we waited for, right, Matt? I mean, we're kind of looking at this saying, does it make, like when we're doing an EKG for a client, we're saying, when is the most optimal time to claim Social Security? So we're talking about the 5 reasons to claim Social Security at 62. The real question should be, when's the most optimal time for the client that we're going to go through today on the live stream? When's the most optimal time for them to claim Social Security? Right?
Yep.
Okay. No, now don't talk too much, Matt. Okay. I need you to save your voice. As
You're on a roll. I'm on
a roll. So let's look at how much time it takes to make up the 120. So then you do, what do you do? 120, and you divide the 34 into that. So 34,284 divided into 120,000. Oops, my bad. I did that backwards. That's 3.5 years. 3.5 years. Meaning, claiming at 67, waiting, it would take us 3.5 years to make up what we got here. So if we did it at 67, that gets us to like 70.5. Well, are we going to live past 70.5? I don't know, but we need to look at that. Fast Eddie. Hey, man. Welcome to the live stream. Tell me where you're watching from, who you're pulling for in the playoffs, who's your NFL team, what's your favorite food, whatever you want to look, whatever you're into. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through 5 reasons. Matt and I have got my other advisor on here, Matt. We're going to go through 5 reasons to file for Social Security at 62. The first reason is for immediate income because you need the money now to cover living expenses. So Matt, let's start going through the scenario. We're going to look at a couple. They're going to retire here soon, and we're going to try to determine when is the most appropriate time, the most optimal time for them to claim Social Security benefits. So Matt, let me remove I always have trouble with this live stream software. Let me throw you up here. And there, oh, no.
It's like magic. Back to where we were.
There we go. Go through a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about Bob and Betty. Give us some background information. And then we're going to go through 4 more reasons why you want to claim Social Security at 62. And we're going to weave in the scenario as we do it. We're going to kind of go back and forth through this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think based on what you were talking about, that whiteboard scenario is not specifically this client, right? You were just using some easy numbers for math, right?
Yep. Easy numbers.
So here we've got Bob and Betty, and they're both currently working, and they're looking to retire in 2030. So we've got our annual incomes here at the top. Bob is working $175,648, coming right across here, wanting to retire at 61 and 11 months. Betty is making $83,976, wanting to retire at the same time. So we can see them both on there. Then Betty is going to continue on at a lower rate, taking a little step down from the high stress where she's at right now, just to work for a little bit longer. So that's why we have 3 of them listed out across the top. Just below that, we have the Social Security, which is kind of where you were talking. And in this particular scenario, we've got 67 on here. When we pull up our calculator, it's going to show us, all the different times when we can take it. So we were just talking about 62, and we can plug in 62 right here.
Oop.
Are you moving ahead on me?
I did. I moved a little bit ahead. Sorry about that. Keep going.
All right, here we are. So now we're showing them taking their Social Security at age 62, each of them, and then it's showing the amount of the gross monthly amount that they're going to be receiving. So This is where we are at the moment. Now, do you want to
get
to another page?
Yeah, let me show you this. So this would be, people always talk about claiming Social Security, what ages. Obviously, if you claim Social Security benefits at 62, if you were born in the year after 1960, you would get 70% of your full retirement benefits. So we're talking about 5 reasons to claim Social Security benefits at 62. So if you claim at 62 years old, you're going to get 70% of your full retirement benefits. So this is SSA.gov's website showing exactly how your Social Security benefit would be reduced if you claim at a certain age. So at age 62, you would receive 70% of your full retirement benefit. Now, keep in mind, you don't have to wait a calendar year till your birthday to start claiming Social Security. So what if you work until 62 and let's say 5 months and you get laid off and you go, you know what? I ain't going back to work. I'm done with this. Let's start claiming Social Security. Well, at 62 and 5 months, you would receive 72.1% of your Social Security benefit. So it's not always just cut and dry. Like I'm going to claim at 62. I'm going to claim at 63. I'm going to claim at 64. Now, if you do claim at 67, you would get 100% of your full retirement benefit, but you could still claim at 66, 65, 64, 63, 62, 61. I sound like my kids counting down being their homeschool education, but any of these ages you can claim. So when we're doing an EKG, when we're going through this, we're trying to determine when is the most optimal time for the client to claim Social Security benefits. And that's what Matt was talking about. When we're looking at the various scenarios, we're saying, does it make sense for them to claim at 62? Does it make sense for them to claim at 67? Or does it make sense to claim at a different age? Do we spend down our investments, right, at first to claim Social Security at 67, 68, 69, 70? Or do we claim Social Security early to give our investments time to grow, to stop pulling on the there's like a spigot, to not have that spigot of money running out of our investments. And I'm a big proponent of claiming Social Security early. You see that on the channel. We talk a lot about that. And that's what we're talking about today, claiming Social Security at 62. Mo, what's up, man? Welcome back to the live stream. Hope you guys are doing good. Good morning, Drew, Matt, Robbie, and Whitney here from Medina, Ohio. Midwest forever, right? Midwest forever there in Medina. Matt, why don't you keep going here? I'm going to let you go. Let's get back to the scenario. Keep giving us some data on this.
Yeah. So I think kind of in the middle, a little piece that might be important is everybody's different. And so as we're talking, we're telling the benefits. As we're looking through this, running your specific EKG is going to be the part that's going to help determine what's the best time for you as an individual. So we're kind of talking in generalities here and going through. We do have a client, and we are looking at this particular client taking it at 62. But you watching could be a different situation altogether. So the EKG is an important piece. So let's run through. We just talked about the Social Security. These folks don't happen to have a pension. On the asset side of things, they do have 403Bs. So Bob's got 403B here, 206,000. Betty has 84,000. Again, 403B. Bob has Roth in his 403B of 155,856, making a contribution into that side of things. Betty also Roth 403B, making a contribution into hers. She's got $125,065 in her Roth. So these things here are what Drew was just talking about. Do you want to live off of these assets and wait to take your Social Security, or does it make more sense to take the Social Security and allow these accounts to grow? Right.
That's
so
really,
they do
that's
have
really
some
what we're trying to
after-tax.
figure out. That's really what we're trying. I mean, I think everybody wants to know that. When should I claim Social Security benefits? Like you said, do we claim early to not touch our investments or to barely touch our investments? Or do we claim late and we use our investments to bridge the gap? And then sometimes, what I was talking to a client yesterday, they asked a question. They said, Drew, what would be a good, if I retired at 60, she's 55. She said, if I retire at 60, should I look at claiming Social Security at 62 or 67? I said to her, well, obviously we have the EKG. We're going to update that over the next couple of years. She's 55. We're trying to get to 60. We've got 5 years to update the financial plan. But we're looking at it and saying, okay, if we get to 60 and let's say the distribution rate, meaning the money that we need to earn from our investments, that we're going to pull off of our investments to live off, I call that the distribution rate. Let's say that from age 60 to 62 is over 6%. To me, taking more than 6% out of your portfolio on an annual basis scares me a little bit, just in the sense of I just feel like that's a depreciating asset. It's going to run out sooner than we think. I don't like sequence of return risk in there, taxes, inflation, things like that. But I said to her, if we're above 6% from 60 to 62, and then we claim Social Security, and then our distribution rate from our investments goes back below 6%, preferably between 4 and 5, then I'm okay doing that 2-year bridge. But if we retire at 60 and our distribution is above 6%, and we're trying to get to 65, 66, 67 before we claim Social Security, then I'm getting more concerned about drawing down the assets for that long to then turn on Social Security. A lot of smart people, Forbes, Susie Orman, they'll say, claim at 70, try to push it as far as you can. But then my question is, if we drain our assets and take Social Security late, like what happens if we get T-boned and we need a new car, or we need a new HVAC, or a new roof, or there's medical, it's like, what are you going to do? You got to have some money. You got to have some investment. Social Security is great, but what if the government screws with it? And, and you've delayed it and they're like, oh, well, actually you're only going to get 75%. And you're like, my gosh. So that's why we're looking at this and trying to decide, when does it make the most sense? Now, again, so the 5 reasons to claim Social Security at 62. Number 1 was immediate income. Now we know we've got $580,000 saved for retirement for Bob and Betty currently. They're looking at retiring in a couple years. When they do end up retiring, we're going to have around, let's see, $1 million saved for retirement. So we got about $1.3 million saved for retirement when they retire. But hang on, don't cut the stream and go, I don't got it that. I'm never going to have that amount of money. I'm not going to watch this anymore. They're actually running out of money at 84 and 83 years old. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. Why are they running out of money so soon? They got over $1 million saved when they retire. So the second reason why you want to claim Social Security at 62, number 2, is you believe you have a shorter life expectancy or you have current health issues. So some of you might have health issues that will affect how long you live. Some of you might have longevity in your family that will affect how long you live. And so if you are not going to live, or you're not predicted to live, or you think you're not going to live, now again, you might live to 106 and think you're going to go at 75 because every man in my family went at 75, and all of a sudden you wake up and you're 106 years old. But if you think that your life expectancy will be short, it makes a lot of sense to claim Social Security at 62. Now, let me show you, man. I'm going to take you off here real quick, and I want to share my screen just to show the math behind this. Let's see if I can figure this out again. Here we go. Perfect. All right. So let's look at this. So the number one reason you claim Social Security at 62 is immediate income. The number 2 reason, which we're on now, is you have a health or longevity concern, shorter life expectancy, or current health issues. So let's go back to the original example. So let's say at 62, you are going to get $2,000 a month in Social Security benefit. Okay, this is what you're going to get. This is your 70% reduced benefit, right? Let's say at age 67, you are going to get the 2857 that we talked about. Now, this is 100% of your full retirement benefit. So we've got our $2,000 a month at 62, and we have our 2857 at 67. So let's assume from a longevity standpoint, we're only going to live to age 75. Now, mortality tables here in America are at 78.4 for males and females. Okay. So 67 to 75. Now let's just do the easy math on how much Social Security we would collect over that time frame. Niners, I see you, and I know who you are, putting up the Niners on there. Thanks for watching all the way from California. All right, so this is $24,000 a year. And again, I'm going to assume no COLA increases just to use easy math. Okay, so I can't add in COLAs. I don't know the future, but I don't want to do all that. I just want you to be able to use a calculator and easily figure this out. Okay, so $24,000 a year for 13 years, right? So 62 to 75 is 13 years. So we multiply this by 13, and that gives us $312,000 that we have collected from Uncle Sam, okay, from Social Security benefits. Now, over here, the 2857 on an annual basis is $34,284. And I know I'm doing a lot more math than I normally do on these live streams. You remember, I'm from Kentucky, so I don't like English or math very well. So I got into a speaking job and I do math all the time. But usually we just get up here and tell stories. But I want to talk a little bit about math, because when you're talking Social Security, you got to get into the nitty gritty. So in this case, we got 67 to 75, which is how many years? 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75. 9 years, right? Am I doing the math right there, Matt? 9 years?
Sounds pretty close.
I mean, it could be 8 or 9, right? Depending.
Yeah, I think it's closer to the 8, but however you want to look at it.
Okay, so we can use 8. I say like full 67, full 75, then you die in December. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay.
The end of the year of 8.
End of the year. So you get your full benefit and you get to go through Christmas, which is my favorite time of year. I was born on Christmas Eve. I was a gift to the world. Now, Jesus gets the 25th, but I am the 24th. And just FYI, if anybody wants to send me a gift. So 34,284, multiply that by 8. Okay, we'll do 8 first. That's $274,000 in Social Security benefits. So 274, 272. Now let's multiply that by 9. 284 times 9, it's 308. So 308. So either way you look at it, 308,556. Now, Matt, listen, again, I'm from Kentucky. Okay, Robbie said go Big Blue. Yes, go Big Blue. We got Texas. We got Manning coming to town on Saturday in Lexington at Commonwealth Field. I don't care what you call it today. It's not Kroger Field. It's Commonwealth. That's what I grew up with there, Kentucky. Go Big Blue. Miguel says, what is an EKG? Miguel, an EKG is what we call our comprehensive financial plan. That's what we're going through right now. We call it a financial EKG. It's trademarked. You can't steal it. For all those people out there that use it, I will send you a letter. No, I'm just kidding. I won't send you a letter. But Matt, look at this. Now tell me, Matt, claiming at 62, claiming at 67, dying at 75 for both of them. Who collected more benefit?
Who's the who? Is it the family or is it the individual?
Well, okay. Now, why would you do a trick question? I mean, so Matt gives me a trick. So you got to understand Matt's background, guys. So Matt's been an advisor for 25 years. Matt was in the Air Force. Thank you for your service. God bless the USA. He was a mechanic on what were the jets you worked on?
111 and 16.
So F-111 and F-16s, right? So like Top Gun gets all the credit, the guy like Tom Cruise, like doing all this stuff. But Tom Cruise's butt wouldn't be in the air if it wasn't for Matt. Is that right?
Oh, in very, very loose terms, maybe, yeah.
Well, I mean, you guys kept it in the air. Obviously, Lockheed Martin builds the jets. And so there's a lot of people involved, right?
It's a group effort, correct.
It's a group effort, top to bottom. That's why we love the military. It is a team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did the person claiming at age 62, single person, Matt, or the person claiming at 67, single person, Matt, who collected more benefit?
So the single person at 62, because the number's bigger.
Exactly. And so what you're looking at is the second reason why you want to claim Social Security at 62. If you have shortened life expectancy, or you believe you have a shortened life expectancy, you will essentially claim more benefit. You will get more of your money. When I talk to people, Matt, I know you do too, but like when I talk to people, I get what I call the J.G. Wentworth people when it comes to Social Security. They all say, I want my money and I want it now. And I'm like, oh yeah, J.G. Wentworth, baby. I want my money. I want it now. Social Security is a lot like that. So if we claim at 62 and we have a shortened life expectancy, okay, now, obviously there's various scenarios with married couples and trying to do spousal benefits and what's best. But again, we're looking at this just saying, hey, this is the reason why you need a comprehensive financial plan. If you want to work with us, go to the description below, click on the link, get together with me and Matt, we can build you out a plan. But you just need a plan in general, whether that's with Bolden, through your Fidelity, Vanguard, your Empower, whoever, because you don't want a willy-nilly Social Security. You don't want it to be this like, I mean, Matt, how many clients do you get that just go, well, I'm going to claim at 62 just because that's when I want to do it?
Well, I mean, everybody has an opinion, but they're usually coming to us asking the question of when do we think is the best time. But so most of the time they want to have an answer. Sometimes people say, well, we decided we want to take it now.
Exactly. You must get different people than I get, because my people are always like, I want Social Security at this age. I'm claiming here. And a lot of times, and it's not necessarily 62 or 67. I'm sorry. Not a lot of times it's not just 62. It's like, hey, we're going to wait till 67. Then I'll show them, well, you should claim early. And we've done some videos on that. Okay. So Matt, let's keep going through. I'm sorry. I digress on some things. Navy here. Thank you again for your service. Appreciate it. God bless USA. Also, aircraft avionics. And he also says the Air Force has all the money. I don't know if that's true, Matt, but I'll let you guys. I know exactly who this is, so I can let you talk to them sometime. You guys can go through your Navy stuff there. So, Matt, keep going through some of the assets on this. Let's get into expenses, and then we're really going to dive into why it's important to claim Social Security at the optimal time at 62 in this case.
Well, so let me, before we kind of continue, let me bring one little piece of information up that, is we kind of touched on it earlier, I believe. So when we're looking at this screen right here, and you can see, the amount of money that they have, if we're taking Social Security early and they passed away at 75 and the money's been in their account growing, then not only, did they actually receive a higher amount over that period of time, but then the family also is going to receive the rest of these assets that are sitting here that have been growing. Whereas if they waited to take the money and they don't meet that cross where, that you're pushed out to where you're going to receive more money if you wait. So if you passed away at 75 and you waited until, like, let's say 70 to take your income, you might not have received the same amount of money, but you also burned these assets. So it's kind of there's two pieces. It's not all just about Social Security. There's multiple pieces to consider. So
legacy is important. A lot of people, I know some people say, I want to, the great book Die with Zero is a great book out there. People, that's just kind of reframing how you talk about legacy. I get people that say, I want to bounce the last check I write on the day I die. And obviously I'm always like, well, you tell me, you talk to the Lord, you let me know when you're going, and we'll figure that out. But legacy is important for some, and taking Social Security early might not be the most optimal time for the couple or the person to claim Social Security. But if they're legacy driven and legacy minded, then it might make sense to push those assets further out. Then if you're pushing those assets out, you're able to do some Roth conversions. You're able to get more tax efficient with the money. You're able to set up some investment vehicles for legacy. So again, it's all about what the client, what you want. It's not so much about like what I want. That bugs me, Matt, when we talk, when I read like the investment magazines or these financial planning things, or I watch videos, it's all about like them telling you what you need to do. And I'm always like, well, we need to offer advice and offer perspective, but a lot of times it's like what the client wants. Like, what do they want? And again, I can't get magic pixie dust to make everybody's plan work, but we can build out plans that accommodate what people's dreams and goals are, and really focusing on that. So I'm sorry, I digress. Sometimes I get on a soapbox because it just ticks me off. Like I watched a video the other day, Matt, and maybe it ticks you off. It was a Susie Orman video. And this lady had like, I don't know, $800,000 saved for retirement. She wanted to retire at 60. And Susie said, you can't. You need to keep working until 65. She's like, C-, you can't. And I was like, man, I should do a freaking video on that, because that's like, that just ticked me off. Because I'm like, she can retire. You're telling her to work. What if, like, and it's a single lady, expenses weren't crazy. And I'm like, what is, Susie doesn't even have she's not even a financial advisor. I'm sorry, I beat up Susie Orman a lot, but I just don't like her advice. So anyway, keep going.
Well, the expenses, that's a piece for everybody where things are different. So if your income is higher and your expenses are higher, you're in a very similar position to somebody whose, income is lower and expenses are lower. You can be following a similar path on certain things. So, you just kind of mentioned the expenses. It makes a difference of where we are with our expenses as to the result of your plan. Basically, how much money do we need in order for you to live the life you want to live?
Yeah.
So we've got the mortgage here for Bob and Betty. We have the principal and interest broken out separately here from the escrow, the tax and insurance. And the reason is this is going to get paid off, at some point here. So in 2041, this mortgage goes away. We're just going to be left with the tax and insurance. And then we also have baseline expense. Now, when I do the plan and I write in baseline expense, basically what we're saying is that this is kind of the catch-all. It's the Netflix, the cell phone, all the things that are consistent month after month as we're going along. The utilities, if you will, unless we have multiple properties, that's kind of all going to be covered in the baseline. So for Bob and Betty, we're looking at $5,599. And then you can see it just runs out. We do have inflation on both the tax and insurance and on this baseline. But however, the inflation, I'm backing up a little bit, apologize. We don't on the principal and interest because it's usually worked into that payment. So we have a fixed payment amount as we go along. So just so you can note that going down the line here. They do have some student loan debt, $271 that'll be paid off here in a couple of years. health insurance at the point that they stop retiring or they stop working and go into retirement until they get to Medicare.
Now,
So we're talking.
Yeah, let me stop right there for a second with health insurance because we don't know. Like we're just estimating. Again, ACA
this is
subsidy.
kind of a guesstimate, and it's high, right? So this is a little high. They could be on Medicare Advantage, which could potentially be zero, could just be a lower number. But this is basically covering a supplement. And for these folks right here, this portion is basically talking about the Obamacare thing of where we are before 65. This 650 healthcare or health insurance down here is the supplement piece. So we've got both of them kind of listed.
Yeah.
And then just down here under the healthcare portion, we've got the Part B and D for each of them as well. So there's multiple pieces.
Yeah. And IRMA, I think what I've read, Matt, is IRMA is going to go to 206 next year, from what I can tell. It's 185 currently per check. Mm-hmm. Matt, pull up that chart, IRMA detail chart real quick. So based on whether you are single or married and your income, this is how much your Part B and Part D will cost. So most people fall into that 185, that top line there, that 212 or 106, right? Mm-hmm. Well, what's looking at next year, it looks like it's going to go to 206. Yeah, Fast Eddie just said 206.50 for Part B. That's estimations. That could definitely come in. Fast Eddie also asked a question. He says, would you take Social Security if it puts you over the limit to be able to contribute to your Roth because my wife is doing well at her job? If you claim Social Security, Fast Eddie, you're not going to have earned income. So you're not going to be contributing to anything at that point. Now your wife, as long as her income is below the limit, she could contribute to the Roth or a 401k or whatever. I think usually my 2 cents on it is if you have a working spouse and the income from the working spouse covers your expenses, then I would wait to claim Social Security till you don't have a working spouse anymore, just because I wouldn't want to start that too early. Again, it's a spousal situation. There's no reason to do it until you're fully, there's no income in the plan anymore. Now, we've talked about expenses. Matt, go back to the expense page there. So these are our total expenses for Bob and Betty. Now, the reason number 3, so remember 5 reasons to file for Social Security at 62. Number 1 was immediate income. Number 2 is health or longevity concerns. Number 3 is protecting investments. Okay. Now, we've gone through the expenses. We've looked at the assets. Matt, go back to that first screen real quick to show us when we're claiming Social Security. So tab number 1, income. Switch their Social Security back to 67, because originally when Bob and Betty came to us, their thought process was to claim Social Security at 67, which would be 100% of their full retirement benefit. Now, they're retiring between the ages of 61 and 62 between July of 2030 and July of 2031. Okay, but so they were going to delay Social Security for basically 5 to 6 years. So we need to look at, does that make sense? So let's go to the retirement tab now, Matt, and let's see how long their money lasts. What we got? 82 and 81. I can't see my glass. This is like, I got to get a little bit bigger for me.
Yeah, it's 82 and 81.
Okay, good. You got to talk me through this, man. Listen, I turned 40 in December, 40. And what I've noticed here, let me tell you, so I have my eyesight is not where it used to be. I have this little Bible that I take to church with me. I've had since high school. It's like this big. I can stick it in my back pocket. I like it. It's got Old Testament, New Testament. I pulled out. I noticed either the lights are too low at church now because everybody's like got fog machines and stuff, or I just can't daggum read that thing. And I'm like, it's like little bitty. I'm like, I'm going to have to bring in my, those coffee tables that your grandma used to have back in the day. And then they'd put those coffee table Bibles that were like this thick and they had all the pictures in them. And then they had everybody that listed who died and was, all that stuff in it. That's when I have to take to church. So I can actually read what the scriptures are. Thankfully, they put it on the screen. Robbie asked a question here. Let me grab this map before we go through how long. So 82 and 81. Ooh, we got to work on that. Any idea what the cost is for a family of 4, 2 adults, 2 kids for healthcare in the market? Depends on the ages. Currently, I'll tell you this. I've got 3 kids, 2 dogs and a wife. The dogs aren't on health insurance, but with my 3 kids and my wife and I, we're at $1,800 a month with a high deductible plan. So we ain't got no bougie plan. We've got a high deductible. You go to the doctor, they take all your money out of your wallet and more. And it's $1,800. So if it's probably going to be for a family, $1,500 to $2,000. Now, from an ACA standpoint, if we're retiring, we're going to try to keep that income low to get some of those subsidies if the subsidies are still there. So we just don't know. We don't know if they're going to be there or not. So Matt, go through exactly what's going on here while we're running out at 82 and 81. And then you mentioned a little bit about front loading some of these expenses. And what we're talking about is 5 reasons to claim Social Security at 62. Number 3 is protecting investments. What we're seeing here is a huge drawdown on investments.
Yeah. So this is because we're not taking the Social Security. You can see once fully retired here, 2031, we've got, the pension. There's nothing going to be in the pension column. For our Social Security, this is where we would have our Social Security if we started it at 62 or what have you early. And any particular year here, it would kick in. So we can see that it's starting in 2035 here for Bob. And then as we go down to 2036, Betty kicks in there as well. So between the two of them, they're burning through their spendable assets far right until we get down here to 2035, 2036, and then it starts to taper off. But we will see that it increases as we go because, again, we had inflation on that expense report piece. So all the different things that they have. This piece right here, right now, all we're talking about is we're using this cash. And like on our whiteboard, if they passed away at 75, we can see that, they're down here to somewhere in the neighborhood of $300,000. This is what's going to be left compared to what might be left if they took Social Security earlier and passed away at the same time frame.
Yeah. And if you look at that, if you look at the column next to net monthly cash flow, there's some big numbers there. 5%, 8.53, 10.36, 12.71. What that column is showing us, and you can do this using Excel or using a calculator. Now, obviously in our software, in a lot of softwares, but in ours especially, we're calculating in inflation, taxes, your expenses down to the penny. And so that column is telling us what is the percentage that far right column is going down per year based on your annual distributions. So for them, we're losing 5%, 8%, 10.3, 12.7, 11.14. That's how much the assets are going down per year. And we are calculating in a rate of return inside of their investments. So we're trying to get a total picture of their financial plan. We're saying, okay, total return within, like, we're invested in the market or we're invested in something. We have our expenses, we have inflation, we have taxes. What's our portfolio look like or projected to look like the following year? And so like Matt's talking about, we are just draining our investments up front. Now, we're doing what every financial pro tells you to do, claim Social Security at 67. So if you went to somebody who said, oh, you need to delay Social Security at 67 or 70, what's their advice going to be to Bob and Betty? Keep working. Just like Susie told that lady, you need to keep working. Well, why? What's the problem there? Like, why? I'm not saying don't keep working, but I'm saying, is that the answer? Like, I get people give me heck all the time, Matt, because they'll say, oh, Drew's answer is always keep working. Well, I don't have pixie dust. I wish I did, that I would sprinkle it over and you'd win the Powerball. But like, I can't do that now. But can we adjust something so that we don't? Listen, I'm always like, how can we retire with less? And people are like, that doesn't make any sense. What I'm saying is, I get. Let me show you something. Let me show you guys something. Let me share my screen. I want to show you why I say retire. We always want to try to retire with less. And then I saw a question in there. I'm going to get to your question. If you got a question, a comment, something you want to add to the conversation, bring it on. Where is my tab? Dadgum. Here it is. Okay. All right. So this is the median and mean retirement savings by age. Now, this is an updated article. This is on Kiplinger. Okay. And this is based on what the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances of 2023. So we're looking at this age range right here, 45 to 54 and 55 to 64. This is when most people come to us who are wanting to retire. Okay. We have the median savings and the mean. So basically like the average in layman's terms. And I know somebody with an economics degree always corrects me. Drew, you have no idea what the mean is or the median. Here's the correct definition. And I'm always like, that's fine, dude. I'm from Kentucky. I'm lucky that I'm wearing shoes today. But ages 45 to 54, the median save for retirement, so right in the middle, is $115,000. Ages 55 to 64, the median save for retirement is $185,000. Now people will go, well, Drew, that's not right because I have 17 401ks and 3 IRAs. This is the Federal Reserve Consumer Finance Survey of Consumer Finances for everybody, like all your assets together. So it's not just like the Vanguard study that I use a lot. That's only Vanguard. The Fidelity study that I use for data, only Fidelity. This is all your data. Okay. So the average, or let's say average, I hate to say average because again, somebody with an economics degree is going to correct me when I say that. But like Joe Smith, when I run into him at the gas station, he's 55 years old. He's going to have about $185,000 saved for retirement. So Matt and I are always looking at how can we retire with less? Not being like we don't want to be stupid. I hate to use that word. We don't want to make poor decisions, but we want to say, we've worked hard. I've been doing this for 35 years. How can I retire? And that's why we always get, again, I'm going to get off my soapbox here, Matt, because it's like, I'll get on that forever. But let me go back to here and let me answer one of these questions. So Robert says, taking Social Security, like I am going to do where you take from your, okay, Matt, Robert, I got to read, slow me down, Matt. Like I am going to do you take from your 401k if all your accounts are up for the year? Where do you take your drawdown from? Okay, so let me think what he's saying. Oh, here he goes. Do I take yearly distributions or monthly? Okay, so let me put all that in together. So Robert says, if I'm taking Social Security early, where do after I roll my 401k? Matt, can you answer that question? Because I feel like I don't know where I'm at here.
So I think he's just asking, where are you drawing things down from? If we're taking Social Security early, letting the 401k go, then where do you take your drawdown from? So You're not forced to take a drawdown until probably 75 at this point. So you're not forced to do something. If you need the income, then again, that's going to be the sequence of withdrawals. So as we go through and do the financial EKG for you, we'll make that determination. It'll help us to point out those answers. And that's what I tell, a lot of my clients is I don't have all the answers like right on the tip of my tongue. The question that you ask, we put into the EKG based on our conversation of what your life looks like and the path that you want to go down. And then based on that scenario, we're going to look at what it's telling us. And then based on what its answer is, we may want to make an adjustment, or there may be a red flag or something might be there where we say, hey, it might make sense for you to do a Roth conversion and then, 6 years down the road, draw from that to lower our taxes or do something. But I think the simple for Eddie, was it? I think Robert, the simple answer for him was if he's taking a Social Security early, he's taking less from his 401k.
Yeah.
But he's not forced to take from it. And if that's his only source of, assets, if that's what he's got, he's the guy who saves into the 401k all of his life and has a smaller amount of money in the Freedom Fund, like we tell people, that's the after-tax money. If he's got less money there and is forced to take from the 401k because of his need, well, then he certainly can do that, but he's having to take less. And we're going to kind of show that here in a few minutes.
Yeah, just say, great. Yeah. So most people, if they get $2,000 a month in Social Security, single person, they can't live on $24,000 a year. Now, we've talked about 10 cheapest states to live in. Even I think if you're in West Virginia or South Carolina or Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi, like those are some of the top cheap states to live in when to retire, you can't live on $24,000 a year. So if you take Social Security early, more than likely you are going to be using your 401k, your IRA, your Freedom Fund, your Roth IRA, some kind of high yield savings, something to live off of as well, to supplement that. But what we're looking at is, does it make more sense to supplement taking Social Security early or delay Social Security till 67, 68, 69, 70, draw those accounts down, and then get a bigger check with Social Security? And I think with the uncertainty in the Social Security Administration, I think it makes a lot of sense, again, to claim Social Security early if it makes sense. Now, the fourth reason why you would want to claim Social Security at 62, and I got 5 reasons. We've been through 3. We've been going for 45 minutes. I know if I keep talking, I'm not going to get through the last 2 because I got a turkey sandwich that's waiting for me. But the fourth reason is a spousal strategy. So Bob and Betty are married. Now, for them, when one of them passes away, we're going to have a spousal Social Security benefit. Now, the spousal Social Security benefit says my wife and I, if I'm getting $3,000 a month in Social Security and she's getting $2,000 a month in Social Security, if I die, she's going to get my $3,000 a month in Social Security and her $2,000 is going to go away. That's a spousal Social Security benefit. So if you have 2 people, now again, I know I have single people that watch the channel and we have married people and then we have partners. And so I'm talking to the married people at this point. Obviously, there's divorced benefits, there's widowed benefits. And so I don't want to get all into the weeds on that. If you have questions on that, again, all the information is below. Get in touch with us. Let's do an EKG, get you to retirement through retirement, protect your ability to stay there. But if I have a married couple, we might claim Social Security early for one of y'all, right? And let the other person's Social Security grow to delay that for a higher spousal benefit. Now, we're not going through that on this exact EKG video right now, but that's a strategy that we'll use because we know odds are, unless you're Romeo and Juliet, you both ain't going at the same time. And if you're female, 2 out of 3 people on Social Security over the age of 80 are female. Okay. So odds are the male will go first. Okay. So 2 out of 3 individuals over the age of 80 on Social Security are female. And so we want to have a plan, if you're married, for when to claim Social Security benefits for spousal Social Security. Now, if you're not married and you're partners, you're like life partners, you live together your entire life or you met later in life, and then it's a different strategy in the sense of there's no spousal benefits, but we still would be looking at this saying, when should we claim Social Security benefits to best when one of y'all pass away? All right. Okay. So Matt, let's keep going through this. So now when we're looking at this, they're draining their assets. We're running out at 82 and 81. So we have the conversation with Bob and Betty. We say, hey, Bob and Betty, here's the data. We're out of money at 82 and 81. We still have the house. It's worth 1.3 million. Like, can you sell that? Is that something you want to do? Nah, not really. We want to keep the house. Okay. So the thing we have to look at is when do we claim Social Security? So Matt, let's look at claiming Social Security at a different age and see what that does to the plan.
Okay, so right now we're at 67.
Yeah.
And it's telling us here that we're using our spendable assets, as we see here at the 11,000 that we're taking for these years. And then down here, just for reference, at age 75 or at 2043, we've got $372,000 in our spendable asset bucket.
All right, I'm going to write that down. 372, so we don't forget it, because I'll forget. So let's change the Social Security to age 62. Now, remember, you can see there for both of them. See, Bob, if he claims at 62, it's 2584. For Betty, it's 1,943, 1943. At 63, it's 2768. For Betty, it's 2082. Now, we have some time before they retire, 2030, 2031. At the recording of this video, we're at the end of 2025. Those numbers for their Social Security are going to go up because they're working. And the COLAs on those Social Securities will go up. So Bob and Betty are going to meet with Matt. This is Matt's client. They're going to meet with Matt. They do the reviews on a quarterly basis. They're going to meet with Matt next year and they're going to say, hey, we got our new Social Security statement. Here's our new values. So then we go into the EKG and we plug that in, because it's not, listen, if you're doing planning, you don't want it to be a one and done Pillsbury Doughboy, set it and forget it. You want it to be something that you're reviewing. Again, whether you're doing with us, Excel, Bolden, Fidelity, Vanguard, Empower, another advisor, you want to make sure you're updating these values, because this is going to be critical in what if they get laid off? People are like, oh, I ain't never going to get laid off. I had a guy yesterday. He's been working for the same company for 32 years. Guess what they said to him? See you later. He was like, I never thought I'd be laid off. I've been here 32 years. Thankfully, we've been doing reviews. All right. So age 62, let's go back to retirement. What does that do for him? All right, look at that.
So now they're retiring at 84 and 83.
They're not retiring at 84. They run out of money. Oh, well, I just lost Matt. He left. All right, let me pull it back up. Don't you just love it when it's live? All right, let me go back here. Let me add myself. Share screen. Where is Bob and Betty? There they are. Here we go. All right. So here's what we did. So Social Security is currently at 67. We're going to go to the calculator. We're going to adjust this to 62. We're going to save them both. Now, we go to retirement. Now we're running out of money at 84 and 83 years old. So we were at 82. Now we're at 84 and 83. Now let me explain some things that are going on up here. Our rate of return needed to avoid a shortfall is 6.4%. What that means is if we're able to earn 6.4% on our money, this spendable asset side will never run out. This protected asset side is our house and our HSA, okay? This column right here is telling us what's the amount needed today to avoid a shortfall. So if they inherited $1.7 million, we drop that into this portfolio, they would never run out. Now, this is all based on their current expenses. Again, we're going off of their expenses. Remember, in your expenses, there's things you can control and things you can't control, okay? What you can control are your baseline expenses. This $55.99 here, that's like all of their, we would say things that are going to continue on until you're 90, but like inside of that could be like a streaming bill or an eating out. Those are things that you can control. Not telling you to not do that. I'm just saying those are expenses that you can control and adjust. We cannot control health insurance. You got to have health insurance. Everybody always gripes at me because I don't talk about health insurance stuff. Listen, I understand. I put it in the EKGs. When we do this, there's health insurance in here. It's very important. We can't control that. You got to have health insurance. Listen, I was at the doctor last week. Glad I had my health insurance. Okay. I was there. I was sick. Wasn't feeling good. Actually, it was 2 weeks ago. Wasn't feeling good. Called my doctor. He got me in, got some medicine. Boom. I'm glad I did. Can't control the mortgage, right? They're working. Their mortgage is fine for the age that they are currently. They can't control that. But what they could do is they could sell their house and they could downsize. I was working with a client yesterday. She lives in this really nice house in South Carolina. It's a single lady and her mom. And she said, it's going to be paid off. The house is going to be paid off in 10 years. So we're looking at saying, okay, if you live here until you're like 80, by that time the house is paid off, then we could take some of this equity. You could sell the house, move into a condo or something, and you would be able to influx that money into your plan, which would extend this out until age 95 or 100. So we're looking at it saying, what can we control versus what can we not control? So we go to retirement. I don't know if Matt's going to come back. I should probably check. Let me see if he texted me. You are frozen is what he says. What I should say to him is he is frozen. Reload and come back. All right. We'll see if he comes back. Sonny says this. What if you are a broccoli eater, married male, 62? Well, if you're a broccoli eater, that's awesome. That's great. And I say that because I go, if you're claim at 70, if you're an overachiever, broccoli eater, married male, 62. So the thought process for Sonny is, when should I claim Social Security benefit based on my benefit and my spouse's benefit, right? How much do we have saved for retirement? What's our distribution rate on the money if we retire at 62? Should I claim? Should my spouse claim? What's the distribution rate? At what age is it going to make sense for us to claim? I'm going to show you what the optimal age is for Bob and Betty here in a second. And then how long does our money last based on those numbers? So it's all into one cohesive plan. Sonny, I call it a financial EKG. We call it the 316 principle. So you want 3 forms of income: Social Security, cornerstone income like dividends or annuities or something like that. I'm not telling you to buy an annuity. I'm just saying in general, cornerstone income, and then variable income that can vary. Okay. So it can come from various different sources. It could be higher in some years and lower in other years. And then we call it 6 principles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 built into one comprehensive financial plan. We call that 3:16 principle. John 3:16. Love that. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son. Look who's back. Back in action. I told him that Matt texted me, said I was frozen. And I said, no, you're frozen, dude. You need to reload and come back. I'm on here. Shane says, what age should you start an EKG? Shane, I've had people as young as 45 do a financial plan with us. And I've had people as old as 75 do a financial EKG. I would say whatever age that you feel is the most appropriate for you on where you want to start. Obviously, when you're younger, there's a lot less to it, 20s, 30s. But once you get into your 40s, you start thinking, I'm turning 40 this year. I've said that a few times. Like 15 years from now, I'll be 55 years old. Blows my mind that I'll be over a century, half a century. Matt, you're like what, 54?
Almost.
I mean, it's fast. Like 15 years ago, I was 25 years old. I was like 4 years into the business, 3 years into the business. That's crazy. I'm 40 now. 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a house. Like, how did this happen? So we're looking at them, Matt. We've got Bob and Betty. We're claiming at 62. We've pushed them to 84 and 83 years old. So now they're retiring at the age that they wanted to retire, but we're still running out of money. The other obvious thing that we can do here is we have this at 80 years old. We've got a house that's worth $1.3 million. Now we're using a 1% rate of return on the house. So we're saying we're going up at 1% per year on the value of the house. So could we take 700,000 of this and influx that into the plan? We sure could. And that would push these expenses down more. So that's one of the options. The other option is to say, when is the most optimal time to claim Social Security? So let me go back to the software and grab the optimal time. While we're doing that, let's see here. If you're using a bucket system, what would you consider SCHD, meaning what bucket, and only have a rollover for Social Security for your retirement income? Already retired, started last year. Robert, let's get together, dude. These are some great questions. Build you out an EKG. SCHD, great ETF. Obviously, you don't want to have one single ETF as a bucket. You want to have multiple different diversified options inside your bucket, just so that you don't, have any issues with sector losses or stock market risk, things like that. Single stock sectors risk. So that's something you'd want to have multiple different. When you're talking about buckets, I've done a lot of video on buckets. Usually 3 to 4 buckets of income. First bucket's your short-term instruments. Your fourth bucket is your growth. Just kind of look at that. Let's get together. It's probably a little bit more detailed than I want to get into on the live stream here. Robert's saying 61 gets Social Security. I'm 57. Lion Man Golf. I like that username. How much does an egg cost? Eggs are I get eggs for $3 a dozen at the local farmer down the street. When they put out fresh eggs, I go and get my eggs. So it's $3. Usually I buy 4 of them at the same time. What is the cost of an egg? I was just joking, Lion. I was just joking with you. So every EKG, it's various costs based on complications or complicated, how complicated it is. The easiest thing to do is go to the description below, click on the Calendly link, schedule a 15, 20-minute call with Matt or myself. We'll give you all the fees right up front so you can get that. Not that I'm trying to hide. It just depends on your situation. Go on there, take 15, 20 minutes, and we can go from there. So now we're looking at, when does it make the most sense for them to claim Social Security? So the software actually says the optimal time to claim Social Security is 62. Okay, Matt. So we go back to this. We've tried to answer the questions, 5 reasons to file for Social Security at 62. Question number 1 is immediate income. The reason number 1 is immediate income. We've talked about that. They need immediate income, right? You went over that. Number 2 is health and longevity concerns. They don't have that. Number 3 is protecting investments. For them, we have got a high distribution and we've got to protect these investments. So taking Social Security early is protecting these investments, and it's also helping us not have as high of a distribution.
And you looked at the 75, right? When I froze up, you saw that it was like a couple $100,000 higher.
Yeah, $613,000 at age 75 versus 300. I wrote it down. 372,000 is what they had claiming at 67. So almost $300,000 more in investments and spendable assets. Right. Number fourth reason to file for Social Security spousal strategy. If you're married, that might be something we'd look at here in more detail as we go through an EKG. And the fifth reason why you want to file for Social Security at 62 is you want to enjoy retirement while you're young and healthy. Now, I've looked at the data. I've studied the numbers. I've dug into it with people who are a lot smarter than me. And 1 out of 1 individuals will die. 100% of people living today will eventually die or be raptured, whichever you prefer. I'm going first, not post. But you want to enjoy retirement while you're young and healthy. So for Bob and Betty, we're retiring at around 62, 63 years old. They are young. They're able to enjoy their kids and their grandkids. So we have an issue, though. Based on their spending, we're running out of money at 84 and 83 years old. So we have to come back to this expense tab and we have to say, well, we don't have a ton of equity in the house. Got like 19 years so that mortgage is paid off. So we don't have a ton of equity. But this is a big payment. Can we get this lower? Now, in the current housing market, it might be tough. But is there a way to lower this payment? Matt, the other thing is, and this is your client, so I haven't got to have as big a discussions as you have, but this $5,600 in baseline expenses, that's pretty high.
Yeah, that's the primary place, to kind of focus. And what I found is a lot of people today aren't doing, what my mom used to do, is have the checkbook where they write out everything so they know exactly what's in the checkbook. A lot of people today are like, we have, about somewhere in this vicinity, and then they just spend until it comes back to about that number, right?
How do you balance a checkbook again? What's a check?
Right, exactly. Yeah. No, so the numbers is a little bit loose, but as they calculate in their head, where we are as we're going through things, one of the things that I find myself saying to a fair amount of people is, why don't you try to live on what you think your budget's going to be as you're retired, but now you're still working. It gives you that flexibility of, hey, I need to reconsider where I'm at, and maybe we don't need all these extra pieces.
Exactly, because replacement ratio for financial planning is, the good rule of thumb is that you will need about 80% of your current income to be replaced in retirement. So if you make $100,000 a year, you're going to need about $80,000 in retirement income. Now that's going to be made up from your investments, pension, Social Security, whatever. So what Matt's saying is, try to live retired while you're working to get a good feel for, these are my expenses. So a lot of people will say, well, I make $100,000 a year. I don't need all this money, but we're going to go on these trips and do this and all that. Now that's all well and good. But as we're getting ready to step into retirement, can we live off, let me cuss for a second here. Can we live on a budget? It's a 6-letter cuss word people don't like to talk about, but can we live on the budget that we're going to have in retirement and then translate that over into retirement? Because I don't know about you, Matt, and Tidal Wave 1 says this: expenses are the hardest thing to figure out. I agree 100% with them. Like when you get into retirement, the hardest thing to flip is, now I'm not getting a paycheck.
Now I'm not saving, right?
And I'm not saving. Yeah, I've got a client out in Arizona. We have had probably 20 Zoom calls for the last 2.5 years. He just retired. He retired, I think, at the beginning of the year. 20 Zoom calls. Now, he's a Tennessee fan. He's a Vols fan. So I have a little tough time when I talk to him because I'm a Kentucky fan. We're rivals, and, it is what it is. But his biggest thing was getting the expenses in. He was in a higher earning job, is getting those expenses to where they're going to be in retirement, and then understanding how he's going to spend his money in retirement.
Mm-hmm.
And that was hard. And we did, I mean, we really nailed down what that was going to be. And it's put him on a pretty good path there. So for me, we look at this, and I know we're over the 12 o'clock mark, and my wife will be texting me now telling my turkey sandwich is getting cold. You better get up here. But then deli meat's always cold, but I like it toasted.
Then it's getting stale.
It's getting stale. So if we look at baseline expenses, the question becomes, can we adjust this number? We can't adjust the student loans unless they're forgiven, right? They're going to be there. Health insurance, we need that when we retire. We want to travel. Their travel budget isn't exorbitant. And they need Medicare insurance, right? And we don't know what that's going to be in 2034. I just read an article in the Wall Street Journal today talking about Medicare is about to be like who knows? It's like the wild, wild west this year because of everything going on. Mm-hmm. So this is the only number we can change. And so it comes back as, hey, can we live on less? So what if we drop this down to $4,500 a month with expenses? Now that's that's an $1,000 a month cut. I don't know what that $1,000 is. But again, if you talk to us, talk to Dave Ramsey, sometimes you got to make sacrifices. But what does that do for their retirement? Look at that, 10 years. It gets them 10 years. So is there something that you can cut? By this time, they're probably long gone, right? 2063, long gone. But they have this house if they weren't. We could sell that. Look at the rate of return needed to avoid a shortfall, 4.5%. So the thought process is, again, on all this, what can we adjust here to make this last longer here? Are you willing to make a sacrifice today to enjoy something later in life? That's a hard part of our microwave society. I'm a millennial. People say we're millennials. Like we grew up like half internet, half not internet. Like I still remember a rotary phone, Matt. Like I would call my friend like on that phone. And if you screwed up one number, you're like, dadgummit, I got to do it again. And you go back and you do it. I used to call my friend down the street. I'd be like, hey, Steven, you want to play today? But we have this thing where we don't want, like, we have the Amazon, like Tidal Wave says, cut the Amazon boxes. That's so true. We have the Amazon mentality. Like we order something.
Yep.
And it's here today. Like where we live at is near an Amazon facility. They're popping up everywhere, but we live near one and we can get stuff same day, which is incredible. Like I ordered a book and it was here same day. So stop shopping at Publix. Mo, dude, though, those pub subs are good. They're just like $12 now for a pub sub. I know, and I do like them. Robert says, I really appreciate you talking about people with under 1 million for retirement. Listen, retire with less. That's our goal, is to help people retire with what they've got. But we also have to have these candid conversations about expenses. So for them, they cut some of their expenses and they were able to make this last. So listen, I got about, let's say we got like 3 more minutes. If you have questions or comments, put that in the comment section. Now, Matt, do you want to end with anything specific just to kind of talk about why we want to claim Social Security early, or really finding the optimal time to claim Social Security?
Well, I mean, I think taking Social Security early is going to be a personal thing, right? It's going to be for each and every individual client to go through and understand exactly where they're at and what makes the most sense. And one of the things, and we kind of touched on it, that I show my clients is when we do the optimization for the Social Security in the EKG, I ask them, do you want more money at your life expectancy, or do you want more money at 100 to pass to your heirs? And so it makes kind of a little bit of a difference there. And most folks that I talk to are, hey, I'm concerned about me. We've already put kids through school. We've already done the things that we want to do. You know, we're concerned with ourselves at this point. And so for that reason, again, taking Social Security early might make the best choice. And the EKG is going to help solidify that and give you the confidence to move in a direction.
Yeah. And that's really what we want to do. We want to give you confidence with the channel, education-wise. We want to give you confidence with the EKG. And listen, if you want to work with us, we'd love to help you out. Go to the description below, click on the link, get on our calendar. Let's get together. Let's talk about your retirement to get you through retirement, and protect your ability to stay in retirement. Thank you so much for watching. Go Cats, horns down, Texas down this week. We got Texas rolling into town, baby. And we'll see how that goes. Probably not going to look too good on our end. So, hey, thank you so much for watching. God bless. Bye, y'all.